Thank you so much for choosing CAST TV. Hello and welcome to the Conservation Conversation Program with me, Chemtai Kiri. I hope you're doing well. As you can see, today we are coming to you from the outside. I'm really excited to bring you the conversation program at the PELUM Association Kenya, where I'm speaking to the country coordinator of PELUM Association Kenya. Her name is Rosinah Mbenya. She's been really kind to have this conversation with us. It's a sit down following the first Eastern Africa Agroecology Conference that we covered not so long ago. We brought you that conversation and we had experts from regional. We had people from Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and many other places discussing the issue of agroecology. And because Kenya was the host, we found that this is an important moment to discuss more. So mine is to find out more about that and what it means for Kenya to host this regional event. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Kindly tell us your name and what you do.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Rosinah Mbenya. I work as a country coordinator of PELUM Kenya. PELUM Kenya is a national network of different civil society organizations, majorly from the field-based organization, NGOs, community also based organizations, and we are promoting agroecological principles and practices among the smallholder farmers and pastoralists in Kenya for their improved livelihoods. We are also part of a larger association, that is the PELUM Association, which is in 12 African countries with a strong presence in Eastern, Southern, and Central Africa. So the Kenya Secretariat offices is where I work with, but we have the network of the member organizations who are directly working with the farmers on a day-to-day life. First Eastern Africa Agroecology Conference that took place in March of 2023 in Nairobi at Safari Park, for me was a great opportunity. First is East Africa to also showcase the work that we are doing in terms of agroecology. And this conference also brought different stakeholders, not only from East Africa, but from other parts of the world, to be able to come and learn together, share together, and be able to look at these agroecological systems, which are, it's not a new way, but it's an old way, which is now more sustainable. And as the talk is now on sustainable food systems, so it's an opportunity to showcase that agroecology is indeed the way forward for us to address the issues of climate change, to address the challenges that are related to food systems, and challenges also related to environmental protection. So as a country, we were proud to host this conference, and it's just a beginning of a lot of discussions on the field of agroecology, and more so to the livelihoods of the smallholder farmer, because all said and done is the livelihoods of the farmers that are feeding us day and night that also matter. As an association, of course, we held a side event, and we wanted to showcase also from our side the practicality of agroecology, because there's a network. We have held over 20 years of experience working directly with the smallholder farmers, and our farmers have been able to be resilient in terms of impacts of climate change, even impacts of various interventions, including the COVID. And I would like to mention that during the COVID, when we had the COVID, we realized that the local markets were getting a lot of importance, because there was no need for us to transport so many things out of the country. That is a longer value chain, affecting even more of climate change and so on. So for us, it was an opportunity to showcase, and not only to ourselves, but also to other stakeholders who need also to support this agricultural value chain, that is agroecology. And also coming at a very good time of the UN Food System Summit that came in 2021. So it's a follow-up of the discussion that is going on globally. I would also like to mention about the issue of agroecology versus climate change, because we know that for sure the climate change in Kenya, like we have been having the 5 rain seasons which have been failing, and high impacts of climate change. And one of the discussions even at the UN FCCC conference has been increasing the voice of agroecology in terms of climate financing and in terms of its recognition in the way it addresses climate resilient food systems. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. I think the one thing that I would love to know, because people are talking about agroecology a lot, is what agroecology means in practice.
Yeah, I can say agroecology is a multidisciplinary field which requires all the actors to be there. One, a farmer who is doing agroecology one is you're engaging in environmentally friendly agricultural practices. And this includes ensuring you're not using harmful inputs, as I earlier mentioned, so that, these inputs, once you use very tough inputs, these one, they are washed when it rains all the way to the rivers. It pollutes the ecosystem. Some of these harmful inputs also kill some of the very beneficial insects, like even small, like bees and other beneficiaries, even the praying mantis and others, which are useful in ensuring the food chain moves. The other thing is, as a farmer, you also need to be able to practice like indigenous seed saving and sharing practices, so that you have your own seeds. You are able to know where your seeds are from. You are not, for example, using genetically modified GMOs, which may be a threat to the current indigenous seeds. The smallholder farmers, they are also practicing a lot of tree planting on their farms and being able to ensure that there is improved soil health, that the soils that they are working on is very healthy. And the other thing is, our farmers are doing also integrated pest management practices, maybe through biological control methods, which can be applied on their farm, so that they can be able to handle these pests in a way. And you see, in terms of integrated pests, there are different ways of doing it, but most important is ensuring you're preventing them and you're controlling them in the ways that are biologically sensitive. And the other thing for us is ensuring that the farmers, they are able to also engage, because agroecology is also a practice, but also there are principles around it. It's not just talking about agriculture. It is a diverse sector that is talking about agriculture, environment, health, trade, all this. And for us, this provided the conference provided that platform, and not only for the farmer but also for the policy, because the farmer needs also supportive policies. They need also private sector to be supportive, media, all the stakeholders. So it's an area that really, for the conference, it was a good time for all the stakeholders to come. And more so, I was also happy for the researchers, because we had a lot of paper presentations that were made that showcase the potential, or the fact that agroecology can indeed feed the world. So we did see those presentations showcased there. Secondly, we also did see that there were several exhibitions, and I was interested to see the upcoming new feed of a lot of inputs that are being processed, that are environmentally friendly. And for me, that's an opportunity for the private sector also to step up their role in terms of having these environmentally friendly inputs. In terms of trade, even internationally, I mean, in the continent, we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that gives us a lot of hope for Africans to trade. And one thing about the agroecology, it looks at indigenous foods and cultural foods. So also looking at the local foods. That is something that agroecology focuses on, because food is not just food, but food we relate it in the way we know, in cultural ways, in indigenous ways. And agroecology provides that solution, so that as a Kenyan, you know the food that you are used to, you know the food that you are supposed to eat, and it's not just food. And I like the new movement that like they have some movement on my food is African, or my food also Kenyan. So it's a new work for us, that even as we eat, food is just culturally, it's indigenous, and it's what we are able to relate with. Yeah, we are also encouraging farmers not to do agroecology for the sake of high-end markets and so on. We want people to really understand the importance in their own health as a farmer. When I'm not using harmful inputs on the farm, it's healthy for me, it's healthy for the environment, it's healthy for my workers, for example, it's also healthy for my children. So we want to have people understand why agroecology important, because one, for a long time people talk about food security, and we forget that food security, it's not the amount of ugali in the table every evening, but it's about the safety, the quality of the food that we eat. So this is something that we all need to understand and appreciate. And there's someone who is out there trying to know where to begin. Looking at even the different farmers we have been able to support or work with the PELUM Kenya, and look at the food item, that's maize, that's the staple food. It's a lot of potential, and not only maize but also other kinds of food. So we have farmers, not just small scale farmers, but also some big farms which have been successfully able to do agroecological practices that are working out.
So how does PELUM work to promote this issue of agroecology? Could you even share with us some case study of people who practice agroecology and it's working?
I'll talk about the Manor House Agricultural Center in Kitale, which is one of the members of PELUM Kenya, and it started way long ago in the 90s or 80s. And Manor House has a 40-acre land. I think that is big enough for us to give a case. And as a center, Manor House has never used any inorganic inputs, and they have been able to sustain their production. I think Kitale is one of the food baskets in Kenya, and you go there, you see the kind of maize that comes from that place. It's very tall maize. They've managed to be able to save and save their seeds and use it for the next planting seasons. Last year, as PELUM Kenya, together with other stakeholders, we were able to do a very big indigenous seed fair at the National Museums of Kenya, where we showcased a lot of seeds, because our constitution gives the country the mandate to protect the indigenous seeds and conserve them for posterity. And it starts with the seed, and also appreciation and being able to even move it into diets. And this is the place that agroecology is providing. And as an organization, we believe that agroecology is the solution, because these are practices, one, which are climate resilient. These are practices which are environmentally friendly. These are practices that are actually culturally sensitive and indigenous. And when we are trying to promote these practices to the farmer, it is a mixture of different environmentally friendly practices. One, for example, a lot of focus on reduced harmful or no use to harmful synthetic inputs, that is fertilizers, pesticides, such kind of things, and also looking at indigenous seeds, that those are kind of inputs. The other thing we are looking at is ensuring there's a lot of focus on soil health by farmers, so that gives the soil can also sink a lot of carbon. It can also make sure the plants that coming out very healthy. Something else is we're looking at also integrating forestry, ensuring that among the agroecology practices that we promote is agroforestry, which ensures there's more trees, and also other practices like conservation agriculture, looking at minimal tillage, and also not forgetting the issue of youth and women. We have been part of the UN Decade of Family Farming. We are trying to encourage families to work as family farmers, to ensure that they are working together in the farms, and that gives the opportunity to pass the generation to the youth, to the young children that who need the information for the future. We have a challenge as a country whereby we have an aging population who are doing the agriculture being done as a retirement work. So we want to have more and more youth, and I'm happy the conference also brought a lot of youth who were able to exhibit. As PELUM Kenya, we also supported a few youth who came and exhibited, others who also made paper presentations on what they are doing. And it's exciting to see what is happening within even our membership. We have some of the members that are doing short courses to the youth. We have been able to work with some like SACDEP to come up with like training curriculums which are being used, and this is important to be able to pass the knowledge to future and current generations. Last year, we even had an African caravan of youth issues on towards the climate change, and we are looking at the issue of land rights. We are saying land rights now because that's a big issue, and we know that some of these challenges are also culturally related and linked. As an organization, we are trying our best to empower the youth so that they can venture into value chains that may not need a lot of space. They may not need a lot of land to, for example, to use, and also in other ways of the value chain, maybe in marketing, not banking, but online marketing, so that the youth can look at even innovative ways of supporting the value chain. At the same time, we have also as an organization, we are strategizing and seeing how best we can continue to advocate and raise the issues that are relating to women and youth rights, so that they can have a place of being able to contribute in a more good way, because we know the women do a lot of work on the farms, but when it comes even in, let's say, in markets, some of them, they may not be able to get the money from the crops that they are doing. They may just get food from the farm for feeding the children, but these are big issues that require a lot of support culturally, because we know some of the laws, yes, they have tried to address these issues, but due to the cultures that are strongly embedded in the communities, they have been very difficult to change. So it's a call for everyone to just support the youth and women so that they can play a more active role in the agriculture. As an organization, we also have an ambitious women project where we are trying to build on the leadership skills for young emerging women leaders, so that they have these leadership skills with them. They can be able to negotiate. They can be able to be out there and lead others in terms of the area aspects that are related to agroecology. We have the project is called African Women Leadership in Agroecology, which is in Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Uganda.
There's that issue mentioned about culture and inclusion, and especially when it comes to income generation, because that's the one thing that people really want to understand when it comes to practicing agroecology. Probably you can explain that a little bit better.
Yeah, because as I said, some of these inputs nowadays they can be made commercially. You can make a lot of bokashi, you can make a lot of supermagro, you can make a lot of family liquids from different, there are so many of them now available and people are able to try out. And the other thing, if you have a very strong soil that has the microbes inside, then you have very healthy soil that doesn't need a lot of inputs. Actually, looking at one of the research that was presented during the conference by FIBO on the long-term trials on organic agriculture, because FIBO has managed to work on with the ProEco project in Kenya. They have been doing farm trials on commercial versus organic, for example. And from the studies that they shared, is that organic is more sustainable, because in the long run, the production of organic is more even than the conventional. At the beginning, when the farmer is converting, they may have less input or production, but within like the fifth year, the organic production is more and even more sustainable, because the soil now is healthy and the farmer is maybe has been able to manage to know what to do. So organic is part of agroecology, but it's not the same as agroecology. Agroecology is broad and it encompasses different areas or fields or practices. And also, if you look at the elements and the principles of agroecology, you realize that it's broader than organic, but organic is a part of agroecology, basically because of the focus it has on the inputs, that is in terms of fertilizers, in terms of pesticides, in terms of insecticides, in terms of indigenous seeds. That's what the focus, one of the areas that agroecology focuses on. But if you look at broader, in terms of broad, it's broad. Agroecology is broad because it has aspects of agroforestry, it has soil health, it has minimal tillage, it has aspects of responsible governance. You look at the principles, it has diversity, it has circular economy. Those are aspects to do with trade. So it's broader and it's more comprehensive, if I can use that word. So I think those are some of the cases that have been were even presented in the conference, and from our side as practitioners, we have different farmers who are successfully managing their farms in an agroecological manner.
Well, you've heard from Rosinah Mbenya. She is the country coordinator of PELUM Association Kenya, being so kind to give us the time to discuss more about the agroecology. Ours was to bring you the information. Now that you have it, it's up to you to practice. My name is Chemtai Kirui, and this is the Conservation Conversation. I'll see you at the next program. Have a blessed one. Bye.